Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, we're on Fitness Friday. It is always great to be here with you on the best day of the week. Gotta love it. And folks, as we continue this series here on confidence, and I'm actually going to land this plane today as far as the subtopic of talking about the confidence of making the tough decisions. Next week's actually going to be a full series or full episode story time, where I'm going to talk about some highs and lows of my own confidence journey. And so I am really looking forward to that. See, folks, you got to be able to look back and laugh at yourself, even at some of your lower points in life. So we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all have to learn and grow. And so I just can't wait until next week, folks. But stay tuned for that. But this time, I wanted to kick off this episode here. Of course, we talk about having the confidence to make the tough decisions and realizing how important it is to have awareness of what's going on in the marketplace vis-a-vis trends, research, market analysis, situational analysis, SWOT analysis are all tools that you can use certainly to make more effective decisions. Because when we're armed with information, when we're empowered with information, it's easier for us to put the pieces together, to rely on facts, to make the tough decisions. But certainly that will require confidence. And so wanted to first highlight, before I delve into some more specifics here, I haven't shown this in a few weeks. What would Fitness Friday be without the occasional Rachelle bringing out the SWOT analysis diagram? And so here it is. It's very relevant. We're talking about evaluating what is going on in the marketplace. I'm going to show you some examples today so we know internally, we got strengths, weaknesses, externally, opportunities, and threats. And so I talked particularly last year, more so than ever in the history of Fitness Friday, about the threat, certainly, that the coronavirus pandemic had on the fitness, and continues to have, actually, quite frankly, on the fitness industry, as well as industries across the board, as well as lives across the board, all right? But I also mentioned, particularly latter part of last year and this year, about the opportunities and how certain entities and organizations, businesses of certainly including in the fitness industry, have really leveraged opportunities to wherever there's threats, there's typically, it may be your competitors, it may be you, maybe your competitors, there can be opportunities to be seized upon and to be leveraged. And so that is so important to keep that context in mind as we move forward here on this particular episode. And so wanted to kick this episode off. So I do this a few times a year, and so I often preface it by stating it's that time of year again. Anytime Fitness, the sleeping giant, one of the sleeping giants of the fitness industry, has been reawakened. And so received an email from Anytime Fitness here in Novi, and these promotions tend to be franchise-wide throughout the entire chain. And so that's why I always like to point these out. But I attended, that was 2012. I went to their ribbon cutting. And so I have been, when that location first opened, I've been on their mailing list for years. And so the title of this message, so this email came, as I stated, September 15th, but it came through at 12:50 p.m. entitled, "Mark Your Calendars, Big Savings Coming Soon." All right, so it goes on to state, Dear Rachelle, just a heads up, if you are looking for a sign to get back into the gym, this is it. We have a huge membership sale coming to you next week. Keep an eye out for another email from us so you are ready to take advantage of these savings ASAP. Here at Anytime Fitness Novi, you get 24-hour gym access with access to all our locations around the globe, and we specialize in personal training. Whether you need one-on-one coaching, group classes, or just monthly check-ins with a coach. Whatever the goal, we are here to help you succeed. We work by appointment only for new membership tours. And then the contact information is certainly there, but receive this email, and I always like to point this out, that again, their model, and particularly in light of what I discussed last week, about how we're starting to see more and more entities, particularly at the chain level, pivoting towards no contract only options, no commitment only options. And I talked about how Planet came along with that years ago, and then it's 2018 is the earliest I recall seeing it when I was a member there, the Black Card membership, so their second tier membership, which enables you to go to different locations, went contract only. And so Anytime still has contracts. 12 months, 24, I've seen as far as 36 months on their contracts. And so their model is very different. Their model is very, very different. So they remain in contracts. And so one thing I've said over the years is when you have that contract only business model, and I've talked a lot about, this was probably 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, when I really studied Anytime in depth about how their business model and how they typically, their average according to their annual report a few years ago talked about the average membership being at any one club being 500 members and their square footage being 5,000 square feet. And so we talked about that, and of course having the 24-hour focus 24/7, but not having the overhead in terms of staff required to man that, and then the electricity and the heat and all of that would need to run continuously if it were staffed. And so just a very interesting business model. They were recognized a number of years ago as the #1 global franchise. That's what got my attention, and that's why I started studying them. Entrepreneur Magazine recognized them, and it was just really, really eye-opening to say, fitness entity ranked #1? Yeah, that was very, very interesting. So I did a deep dive for quite a while on Anytime Fitness to find out just why that franchise is so successful. That's one thing I do. You see some of that here on Fitness Friday where I share some of that, but just in the background, I'm always studying successful entities, what they're doing, taking best practices, and certainly utilizing that to be more effective, certainly in what I do. And so wanted to kick off with that. And so also in the same vein, want to highlight, I talked about last week at length, highlighted Lifetime. And so I have studied Lifetime and LA Fitness since 2015. So we're talking about the early beginnings of Fitness Friday. I've been studying those two for a very long time. Why? Because they ranked 1 and 2 for a very long time in the club industry rankings, which I highlighted last week. And so I'm always, like I said, within the fitness industry and outside of the fitness industry, studying entities like that. As well as Planet, because they were the highest ranking. Of course, they have the hybrid model of the corporate owned clubs, as well as the franchise. So I'm always studying entities like that. And so there's a lot to be learned. And occasionally I will share little nuggets of wisdom that I glean from some of my studies. But my tagline, one of my taglines here on Fitness Friday is, I'm generous in terms of my, intellectual insight and sharing and analysis, but I'm not crazy. So you're not going to get a full-blown analysis, and you'll never see stuff like that. And so one thing I realized, and I told you I studied Lifetime for a long time, and so I've got virtual folders, for Lifetime and certainly for Planet and for LA Fitness, virtual folders that have a lot of information that I've gleaned over the years. And so one thing that really got my attention last week, so once again, I'm not going to give you, you're never going to see me do an episode on step-by-step of competitive analysis, but I talk about it often, right? But you've never seen an episode, and I'm never going to do an episode like that. But so from a competitive analysis standpoint, occasionally I will think out loud and tell you kind of what my thought processes were as I evaluated a situation or did some research or some analysis or something like that. And I know specifically with Lifetime, it got my attention because, and I shared some of that last week. I said, here you go, you have a highly sales-driven culture. Account managers, they've got the engagement managers as well to serve kind of as a second tier with member cancellations, to prevention of member cancellations, member satisfaction, onboarding new members. Very, very tough culture. Selling personal training. Personal trainers having product quotas. They've got to sell. They have sales quotas of products and stuff that they sell. And so I realized too, I said, okay, highly sales-driven culture, and I'm seeing this emphasis on marketing. I'm seeing all of this growth and development as far as marketing messaging, marketing strategy. It was all so clear to me earlier last week when I reviewed that website. It's been about an hour, I guess, on the website. And I said, this is very interesting because it's very tough for entities to have both. Of course, you got Planet Fitness that spends a lot of money on marketing. And so, but again, that's not a sales culture. That's a very basic business model. They don't have salespeople. They got, primarily 2 membership levels. Depending on where you go in the country, you'll see that 3rd membership, that mid-tier, but not all locations have that. And so I said, okay, so you have this emphasis because it's very expensive because we're planning on spending a whole lot of money on marketing. But if they sold personal training, if they sold, supplements and things like that, where they needed that additional, P&L, that revenue line for those items, then things would be very different. All right. And so that's why you have a sales-driven culture that spend, they have account managers, they have, products, supplements, all of that. And so it's just very different situations. But I said, look at this growth in marketing. And so from my perspective, again, from an analysis standpoint, what was going through my mind is why? Why, I'm just thinking this sales-driven culture, and I see all of this marketing growth and just from a strategy standpoint, it's this big shift towards marketing. And I got my answer, folks, and that why was circulating on the rotisserie of my mind for days. Like, why? And I got my answer earlier this week. I actually saw it on Tuesday, but the news broke. I saw the articles that were referenced. They happened on Monday of this week. And Lifetime has filed paperwork with the SEC. Again, it's Fitness Friday. It's never investment information. But they have filed paperwork with the SEC to have a second run or second stint as a publicly traded company. So going in that direction, they were publicly traded before, and now they're making another go at it, file the paperwork, and I said, ha ha! I mean, literally, folks, you should have seen the light bulb just go, aha! And I said, I knew it. That totally explains what I saw. That totally explains, the website and, of course, the sales culture for remaining. But then I saw that emphasis towards marketing makes perfect sense to me now. And so they have pivoted. They've made some changes. I mentioned, that chat function on the website and how, I clicked on it. Of course, you have to enter your name. You have to enter your email address. And then, it gives you a reference number, and then I clicked off because, I hate to waste the salesperson's time. That's my philosophy. I have no intention. I'm happy with my current gym. And then within 2 minutes after I clicked off of that, I got a follow-up email. And part of the reason why I wanted to go through that too is to evaluate their sales flow from that chat. Again, just me as a business growth strategy consultant. Okay, I want to see how that sales flows from that chat all the way. What is that process? What does that flow? So I glean that information certainly from that. Not going to be that generous and share all of that, my insight that I gleaned from that, but just trust me, their sales process and their flow is very, very efficient, very, very tight. So within 2 minutes, I got that follow-up email from a representative, and so the same representative from that chat. And I said, here we go. I hate wasting a salesperson's time. But the big question that I mentioned last week that I had was, okay, does Lifetime still is it still a no commitment month-to-month type of setup now? Is that their model? Is that still their model? Because I noticed that change when I studied them in 2018. And so I couldn't glean that from the website. And so literally I replied to the person and said, I just have a question for you. Do you have contracts or are you month to month? And so then he replied, we don't have contracts, we're month to month. And I said, and I replied and said, okay, I'm very happy with my gym right now. I was just curious. And then one thing that also impressed me too with that whole setup is, on those emails that come, like I saw it was unsubscribe. I saw an unsubscribe link, and I was so impressed. And I clicked that unsubscribe link, and I'm done. I have been done, ever since that day. So just very impressive. And so I look at that and I say, wow, here you go, a heavily sales-driven culture, which has also recently upped their marketing game, big time. But you've got a no-contract model. They're very expensive in terms of operations, what it takes to run those. And I said, wow, that is a challenge. That's going to be very, very interesting, and I look forward to continuing to study that. To say you got a no commitment, because when you think about what does a no commitment model, what does that do? Of course, in terms of business operations, very, very tough in terms of predicting cash flows, in terms of predicting, revenue variability. It's just particularly when you throw in the coronavirus pandemic and the unknowns around that. So very, very interesting. I look forward to continuing to study that situation closely, but I just had to share with you my aha, I knew it moment. I knew it. I said I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know what was going on. But yeah, that they're filing that paperwork for that IPO certainly explained it for me. And so, as I mentioned, I spent a good amount of time studying, researching, analyzing, and another entity that I want to share with you and highlight, and I haven't talked about them in a long time, is the WCC, or Wayne, Washtenaw County Community College Fitness Center. And so they are what is termed a medically integrated facility. And so this particular facility, first, I believe it was early 2017, I visited their facility. I've been there certainly two or three times on a guest pass, worked out subsequently. And so that facility taught me a lot because it taught me about a whole different business model, the integrated medically integrated facilities. And this particular facilities and those like it are managed by Power Wellness. And so that was a whole new concept for me. And Power Wellness has a number of facilities across the country under their management. So it's a very atypical management model in terms of where, yes, you've got the staff and you've got people there, but it's managed by this third party, this third party entity, which is very, very interesting. And so when I thought about WCC, so okay, community college, many cases, fitness facilities, university college campuses, community college campuses as well, are subsidized by student activity fees. So there's not this pressure to kind of, okay, sign people up. But and why I was studying them, particularly recently, I wanted to say, because one big question in my mind remains in the fitness industry and outside of the fitness industry. How is the coronavirus pandemic in terms of impacting operations and the pivoting that we see going on and shifting and all of that? Want to see, how the pandemic has impacted a facility, a very highly successful facility such as this one. And for those who aren't in the state of Michigan, Washtenaw County includes Ann Arbor, which is actually where the University of Michigan is located. And so been to that facility, as I mentioned, and I just noticed, one thing I noticed looking at their website, also early last week, I noticed an emphasis that I had never seen before on promotion. So sales promotional activities, and I said, this is very, very interesting. I've never noticed this emphasis on promotions before. What's going on? Again, circling on the rotisserie of my mind. Why? And so as of August 2021, I want to give you some specifics before I move on here. So part of their promotional strategy includes fit funds. And so number one, just three points here on explaining what fit funds are for the sake of clarity on this episode. Number one, earn $50 in fit funds when you complete a general fitness assessment. Number two, earn 1 month dues on us plus $25 in fit funds when you refer a new member. Number three, earn fit funds throughout the year with promotions and center events. So you think about, I could camp out right here from a promotional standpoint and just talk about how, $50 in fit funds when you complete a general fitness assessment, and how, okay, they want to get someone with a trainer. They want to get a new member working with a trainer, and they are incentivizing that. They've got had a promotion. This is actually for the month of August 2021. And so you get $50 in fit funds for that assessment. All right, and one thing, we'll talk about this later this year when we get into the HR episode, is one thing that's different about medically integrated facilities is their trainers are required to have degrees. And so they are incentivizing folks to work out with a trainer, get that assessment done. Secondly, earn 1 month dues on us, $25 in fit funds when you refer a new member. See, again, all about referral. Who's the best person? A happy current member, a happy current customer, regardless of industry, can serve as your best promotional or marketing tool. That word of mouth is powerful. All right, earn fit funds throughout the year with promotions and center events. So encouraging people to remain members. So think about that. So throughout the year, they can partake in getting fit funds from various events and activities. So engagement is the key there. So wanted to point that out. So that was for August 2021. So that special was, for that month, half off initiation fee plus $50 in fit funds. Now for September 1st through September 15th of this year, the promotion changed. So it's a member add-on special. Pay $10 for enrollment and September dues. So that was their offer here, which ended on the 15th. But see, again, I was thinking, why? An entity that's subsidized, and when you think about just how colleges and universities and community colleges were impacted by the coronavirus pandemic, and many students opted to postpone their studies. Many students switched universities. I mean, it was very interesting time, certainly last year for everyone, but certainly in the university space. And so when I have that why question in my mind, I'm always encouraged and inspired to do deeper digging and deeper analysis. And so I said, I gotta find out a question, because again, we're doing market analyses. It's very rare that you're going to be able to get some direct information regarding whatever the situation that's going on, particularly in your situation, in a competitive situation. And so you got to be willing to dig deep, look in some places that certainly are atypical in terms of where you would potentially find information and get answers. And so for me, that why question was certainly answered in September 14th of 2020, the Washtenaw Voice. So again, Washtenaw County. So the Washtenaw Voice paper published an article titled WCC Fitness Center Reopening. Cost of Closure Tops $1 million. And so this article, published by Christy King, a staff writer, certainly provided a lot of information that I'm going to point out quickly and move on here. And so it goes on to say, not going to read it all in the interest of time, but it was very eye-opening for me in terms of the financial ramifications of fitness facilities in the college space, right, in the university space. So very, very community college space in this instance, but certainly relevant to all entities. So goes on to say, according to the college's financial services department, a closed facility cost a great deal of money. Over $1 million was lost during the course of the closure. Information from WCC's Financial Services Department was provided to The Voice by Rich Resler, Director of Communications for the college. The gym, which averages 1,300 to 1,800 visits per week, typically pays for itself. Instead, it's been losing between $200,000 to $250,000 each month since its doors shut in March. This figure comes after the money saved from lower utility and maintenance costs. The Federal CARES Act may help the fitness center make up for some of its lost revenue, according to the Financial Services Department. CARES is a program enacted by Congress in the spring to soften the blow of economic fallout from the pandemic. WCC may receive up to $4.8 million in total through CARES. At least 50% of the money will go directly to students as emergency financial aid. And lastly, as I skipped here a little bit, Power Wellness, which manages the WCC Fitness Center, was unavailable for comment. And so very, very interesting. And once again, that aha moment that now I know why, made perfect sense. More so than ever, they have needed to pivot, to adapt a more promotional strategy in terms of their overall marketing strategy. So some promotional tactics, I should say, to get things going, to get new members, relying on referrals and things like that. And so you see kind of the intricacies of how the university fitness centers operate in the college space. You can see how, again, they received CARES Act funding, but some of that money had to go directly to students or to the university itself and couldn't be all allotted to fitness centers. And so very, very eye-opening, very, very enlightening. And you can see, it's a very expensive $200,000 to $250,000, lost every month. They were closed during the pandemic, but it was very, very eye-opening. But once again, it was a very expensive model that they operate. Again, you got a lot of people in that building with degrees, and so you got salaries commensurate with that. And so just wanted to share that, you are not alone. That the pain suffered as a result of this coronavirus pandemic across all industries is felt by many, even in university and college and community college settings, have also certainly felt the pain of the pandemic, certainly have felt that pain. And so wanted to share that as an example too, and another aha, now I know why moment, another moment like that. And so let me set my iPad down here for a second. Wanted to also point out here, Athletic Business had an article, of course, the September 2021 edition, and I wanted to highlight this. So I've received this in the mail this week. Hadn't planned to cover this, but it's a very important topic that absolutely goes back to the impact of the pandemic on the fitness industry. And I highly recommend, you can Google Athletic Business. I'm going to read you the title of this article like I always do, so you can find it, as well as the author of the article. So it's entitled Fitness 2021 Industry Snapshot by Andy Berg. So it's a little bit of just a shorter reading, so I'm going to go ahead and read it all for context here. The COVID-19 pandemic impacted businesses around the globe, and health and fitness clubs were no exception. In 2020, fitness industry revenue declined by more than 50%, according to the International Health Racquet and Sports Club Association. Strong growth during the pandemic in virtual and on-demand digital offerings couldn't outweigh the significant decline in traditional membership dues and service fees precipitated by temporary and in some cases permanent club closures around the country. As many as 17% of U.S. fitness club locations, primarily small independent gyms and studios, had closed by the end of 2020. Here's a look at a few statistics and insights from a variety of sources that show just how big an impact COVID-19 had on the fitness industry in 2020, and some tips on how gyms and health clubs can bounce back in 2021 and beyond. And so it goes on to say U.S. fitness industry revenue for 2019, $35 billion, 2020 dropped to $15 billion. And so there's a little note here under that says IHRSA estimates the industry lost $20.4 billion in 2020, just 1 year removed from generating an all-time high of $35 billion in revenue, with IHRSA being the source after that last point as well. So next, 17% of U.S. fitness clubs closed by the end of 2020. And so after that, at the bottom of that little box, it says, along with the closures, more than 1 million employees lost their jobs. And IHRSA is cited as the source of that. Next, 13.9 billion lost. And it goes on to say at the bottom of that box, it is estimated that the gym and health club industry in the U.S. lost 13.9 billion from mid-March to August 31st, according to IHRSA. Next, 94%, almost all fitness club members, 94% expect to return to in-person fitness in some capacity once the pandemic is under control. Next, 42%. In 2019, there were 3 visits a week, and then 34%, there were 3 visits a week in 2020. So you can see it dropped. So that box goes on to explain 34% of fitness club members say they expect to attend 3 to 4 days per week, down from approximately 42% pre-COVID. Next, big names filed for bankruptcy in 2020, including CYC Fitness, Yoga Works, Flywheel Sports, Town Sports International, 24 Hour Fitness, Gold's Gym, and Mondale's Sporting Goods. And the source of that particular information is Business Insider. Next, 46% was the growth of home fitness app downloads. Globally, this growth happened from Q1 to Q2 in 2020. That source was Visual Capitalist. And so I want to highlight this point here, strategic investments. Again, you're talking about having the confidence to make the tough decisions, but also having the confidence to open your eyes and look around you and see what is going on in the marketplace. Yes, it's easy to have tunnel vision regarding your facility, your chain, your own, what's going on with your own entity or entities. But hey, guess what? I mean, you've got to understand what's going on, particularly from a competitive standpoint, when you're doing your competitive analysis, to know where the threats lie. And yes, there may be threats in the market, but as I've alluded to in a number of times during this particular series, from a confidence standpoint, have the confidence to recognize the threats, to understand the threats, do the best you can to neutralize competitive threats, but also remain true to what is right for you. All right, sometimes, oh my goodness, this competitors come down the street and their prices are so much cheaper than mine, I got to drop all my prices. Where for them, because they have the volume to be able to handle those lower prices, it would absolutely destroy your particular business. So be confident enough to stand in your own truth when making these tough decisions, but when we make all decisions in life. It's very, very true. So strategic investments. A rebound in the fitness industry is on the horizon, but a recent report commissioned by IHRSA and produced by L.E.K., so L.E.K, period, so all caps, just so you can Google it. I highly recommend. They did a good job on this report. Consulting indicates that consumer trepidation with regard to using in-person facilities will likely push a full industry recovery out to 2023 or 2024. And even then, the industry will look very different as operators work to meet a new set of consumer demands. In its report, L.E.K. identified the following strategies and investments as key for industry players looking to bounce back post-pandemic. Point one they have in the report published by L.E.K. Fitness brands should articulate a clear value proposition geared towards either the high-end premium consumer or the cost-conscious value consumer. So look at it, two extremes from a marketing standpoint, two extremes that they're saying you should really look at. Right. Number two, fitness concepts can either leverage digital fitness to enhance customer engagement and help implement an omni-channel model, or to exhibit attributes that insulate the business from digital native competitors. Next, there has been substantial growth in consumer utilization of fitness performance measurement and tracking solutions, yielding more consumer engagement and data collection. Leveraging wearable platforms and even developing new consumer services on top of one or more of them can enhance the consumer experience and value propositions for gyms and studios alike. Last, traditional fitness operators with a relatively small geographic footprint should be able to capitalize on favorable commercial real estate conditions to outpace the recovery. So a lot of good information there. Certainly, from a thematic standpoint, I've covered some of that during the course of this year, where I've talked about in various episodes what the recovery in the fitness industry in terms of facilities is looking like, but wanted to share that additional information and actually have the L.E.K. report pulled up here. Don't have time to go through all of it, but there's a lot of good information. And so want to point out a couple of things here. They've got 4 key takeaways, and it's not the same 4 that I just highlighted. So I want to point out a couple of these. The last 2, and it was very, 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 very insightful, and that's why I'm highlighting them. So it says, format is key. Boutique studios are expected to rebound faster than traditional gyms, and digital fitness will continue to be additive to the market. Right. The other point I wanted to highlight here, high value, low price, they have in parentheses, HVLP, end of parentheses, gyms. Integrated ecosystems and wearable-enabled coaching services are positioned to deliver top-line growth in a post-COVID-19 world. So if you think about that, high value, low price, HVLP. So there's a number of gyms that fall into that particular segment. Anytime Fitness, Planet Fitness, 24-Hour Fitness, Edge Fitness, Crunch Fitness. There's a number of entities that fall within that particular segment of the industry. And so according to this particular report, there's certainly opportunity there. There's certainly opportunity within that particular segment, because again, you have the price points there, that lower price point, to be able to gain interest and certainly entice potential members to join a particular facility versus one where the price certainly may be higher. And so that's a whole marketing conversation I won't get into, but just wanted to highlight that. And you can go, if you want to see this report, you can go to LEK.com. The title of this report is The Future of Fitness Looking Past COVID-19. It was published April 30th, 2021. It was written by Alex Evans, John Weber, W-E-B-E-R, and lastly, Jeff, G-E-O-F-F, McQueen. And so very, very insightful. So wanted to share that information with you before I close out this episode by highlighting Apple. And so pull this out again. And so remember how I mentioned, so the threats, particularly the fitness facilities, the actual brick and mortar facilities face as a result of the pandemic, and I talked about this at length last year, the coronavirus pandemic presented an opportunity for the digital space in terms of fitness entities And so Apple's the latest, one of the latest examples, even though they made this shift a while ago and highlighted them certainly last year and earlier this year. But the club industry pointed this or had this particular article published by club industry staff on September 16, 2021, entitled Apple Gets into Group Workouts, Pilates Guided Meditation. See, once again, you think about Apple, you think about their market potential. I mean, they saw a huge opportunity because they've already got a large customer base. And so for them to be able to adapt and really to latch on to this particular fitness, to get involved and engage in the fitness space was certainly, from a marketing standpoint, very, very smart. And so it's very lengthy. I'm not going to read all of this. We just want to make a few quick points. This fall, Apple will begin offering a group workout feature for Fitness Plus subscribers, the company announced this week. Group workout with SharePlay allows users to work out with up to 32 people at once via FaceTime or in a group message thread. Apple is also introducing Pilates workouts and guided meditation on September 27th. And they will introduce new episodes of Time to Walk, an audio experience on Apple Watch designed to encourage Fitness Plus users to get active by walking more often. So I'm going to read this one additional paragraph and close this episode out. With group workouts powered by SharePlay, users will be able to start a group workout from a group message thread or FaceTime call on iPhone, iPad, and Apple TV with AirPlay. From there, they will navigate to the fitness app, select a workout or meditation, see their friends and family on screen, and get started. During a group workout, users will see their metrics and progress towards closing their activity rings while also seeing and hearing friends as they work out. With group workouts, when someone moves ahead on the bum bar or closes their activity ring, users will be notified so they can celebrate together. So I'm not going to cover the rest of this article, but just wanted to highlight. So we've got some new initiatives coming from Apple Fitness here in the next several days. And so here on Fitness Friday, that's why, just life in general, I love my life and I love what I do, certainly from a professional standpoint, because I love being pro-fitness. I love, in essence, from a consulting role, standing on the sidelines, essentially observing what's going on in the fitness industry and discussing what's going on in the fitness industry and challenging you to be the best you can be within the fitness industry. But it's great to see Apple making strides in this direction, and so I'm always happy. I'm never on anyone's side. It's a great thing about being pro-fitness. It is just wonderful to see all of the changes, all of the adaptations that's going on in the fitness industry. But as I close out this episode, I encourage you, you always want to just be your best. Because, if you try to compete with Apple head-to-head, you don't want to do that. I mentioned a long time ago, don't try to compete with Planet Fitness head-to-head from a marketing and advertising standpoint. You will lose, you will be unsuccessful. You just do because there are strengths and entities other than certainly Planet Fitness that have, other things that they are able to do that Planet can't do. And so just leverage your own strengths and stay true to who you are, your mission, your values, what you do best. And so that is a way, that's one of the surefire ways to be more successful. When the purpose is there, when the passion is there, when authenticity is there, folks, that's half the battle. That is half the battle. So folks, that is all I have for you today. This is always so much fun. You just have no idea. You love something when you're willing to do it no matter what's going on, and I absolutely love it because, helping others to become the best that they can be is what I'm all about. So stay tuned for next week where it's going to be 100% story time about Rachelle's highs and lows on my fitness journey, and then we're going to have one final episode after that to close out this series, folks. So thanks for your time. Stay tuned for next week, but until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, success, and leadership. Make it a great